I will make a claim that offends drift. The wisest advice I ever received came from people who were not in the room. Every night, I convened a council no one else could see, yet their guidance shaped decisions you can measure in daylight. If that sounds unusual, good. Unusual is often where prosperity hides while everyone waits for permission. Here is the paradox. The more you chase mentors, the less you hear your own highest judgment. But when you install a deliberate ritual, the power of the mind begins returning answers on schedule. 3 questions, 10 minutes, and a notebook. That was enough to turn uncertainty into orders for the morning. You have been told to wait for inspiration. I will show you how to issue it a work batch. Tonight you will learn the exact frame I used, the words I asked, and how my subconscious mind delivered usable plans. No mysticism, just disciplined imagination tied to 3 proofs before noon. If you have ever wished for a table of advisors, consider this your invitation to build one before you sleep. By the end of this video, you will have your roster, your agenda, and a closing phrase that makes decisions feel light. Test it for 7 nights and watch how quickly clarity, confidence, and results begin to report for duty. Every night, when the world quieted, I performed a ritual that many would call strange. It was not superstition. It was disciplined use of the power of the mind. I gathered my thoughts, fixed my definiteness of purpose, and summoned counsel. The subconscious mind responded as a faithful servant when given clear orders. Some nights, the insights felt so sharp it was as if infinite intelligence leaned closer. This practice became my private workshop where ideas were tested before daylight. Prosperity, I learned, does not arrive by accident. It arrives by appointment. The mindset of success is built in the dark, then revealed in results. When the inner meeting adjourned, decisions felt lighter and action felt natural. Over time, the ritual shaped my judgment more than any classroom could. I will show you what truly happened in that nightly conference. You will understand why consistency matters more than theatrics. And you will see how one simple frame can make your thinking obedient. But first, answer a question that opened the door for me every evening. It's the same question that will set your own table for wisdom. If you could invite anyone in history to advise you each night, who would sit at your table? I asked myself that question before every session because the power of the mind answers to specificity. When I named the seats, my subconscious mind knew whom to emulate and what virtues to summon. This is mindset of success in practice. Choose the models, then choose the questions. Prosperity favors the mind that selects its influences on purpose. Consider this, perhaps the counsel you seek is already available through disciplined imagination. What you call ideas often arrive from infinite intelligence once you give it a clear address. Definiteness of purpose turns vague hope into a meeting with measurable outcomes. I did not wait for mentors to appear. I created a counsel that could not be late. That single shift replaced hesitation with guided action. Ask yourself now, who belongs at your nightly table and why? Pick builders of character, not merely famous names. Courage, clarity, persistence, judgment. When you choose the virtue first, the figure becomes a symbol your mind can learn from. Write the roster, review your aim, and prepare one question for each seat. With that, you are ready to understand why I built this technique in the first place. I did not invent the counsel from comfort, I built it from conflict. There were seasons when doubt spoke louder than any mentor I could find. Editors wanted short answers, creditors wanted deadlines, and my purpose wanted proof. In those hours, I needed the power of the mind to behave like an ally, not a critic. So I constructed a place where my subconscious mind could meet leadership. I lacked constant access to living advisors, but I did not lack models. History offered me a gallery of disciplined minds to study and simulate. By choosing their virtues on purpose, I could borrow judgment while I built my own. That is the mindset of success. Render service to your future self with better counsel. Infinite intelligence seems to respond when preparation meets a precise request. The counsel began as an experiment and became a nightly appointment. Questions about fear, direction, and timing received practical answers I could test by day. When a pattern worked, I kept it. When it failed, I refined the questions. Soon, decisions took minutes, not months, because my aim stayed visible. That is why the ritual endured, because it turned confusion into organized action. I invited Abraham Lincoln for moral courage and calm judgment under fire. Thomas Edison took a seat for relentless experimentation and cheerful persistence. Andrew Carnegie represented enterprise, seeing value chains where others saw chaos. Henry Ford brought ruthless simplicity, fewer moving parts, more moving product. And Napoleon Bonaparte, not for conquest, but for audacity disciplined by strategy. Each figure was a symbol, a handle for the power of the mind to grip. Lincoln reminded me that character is policy. Edison, that failure pays tuition. Carnegie taught organized planning. Ford, that efficiency is compassion for the customer. Napoleon insisted on decisive leadership once objectives were clear. My subconscious mind learned faster when each virtue had a living emblem. Do not copy my roster. Construct your own by virtue first, name second. If you need clarity, invite someone who embodied clear thinking. If you need persistence, choose a builder who outlasted ridicule and delay. Make every seat serve your definiteness of purpose, not your vanity. This is the mindset of success. Select influences that make decisions easier, not louder. Each night, I entered a narrow lane between waking and sleep. I reviewed my definiteness of purpose until the words felt exact. Then I called a meeting to order and seated each counselor by name. I reminded myself what virtue each one embodied and why it mattered. Only then did I ask the first precise question of the evening. I asked about obstacles, priorities, and the next most valuable move. Answers arrived as brief phrases, images, or firm directives to test tomorrow. I wrote them at once so my subconscious mind could refine them by dawn. The power of the mind works best when it is given tasks, not wishes. Gratitude closed the exchange. Clarity opened my morning. I kept rules, one question per seat, no debates, only clarifying follow-ups. Every session ended with a decision and 3 proofs for the next day. 10 to 15 minutes were enough. Consistency mattered more than length. This is how infinite intelligence seemed to coordinate effort without noise. And on some nights, the conference became so vivid that I had to pause. One night, the meeting crossed an unseen threshold. Before I posed a question, Lincoln rose and addressed a flaw in my plan. Edison interrupted with a better experiment and sketched it in my mind. Carnegie assigned a contact and even dictated the opening line of my letter. The room felt less imagined and more inhabited. I ended the session abruptly and slept with the lamp on. In the morning, I reviewed the notes and saw precise, testable directives. The power of the mind had staged a rehearsal, so vivid it startled me. So I resumed the ritual, but with rules for entry and rules for exit. My subconscious mind would serve purpose, not theater. Here is what I learned. Imagination is a tool, not a tyrant. When the inner world starts answering you, install boundaries, not fear. Set a clear agenda, a time limit, a closing phrase to adjourn. Record every instruction and judge it by daylight results only. When used this way, the mindset of success gains a fearless ally. Creative insight is not random. It is the power of the mind organizing fragments you already possess. When I primed a clear question, my subconscious mind began sorting memories, books, and examples. This backstage work accelerated during rest, then returned as ideas with surprising precision. Call it infinite intelligence or focused recall, the label is less important than the method. Prosperity favors the thinker who feeds his mind good inputs and demands specific outputs. Modern men would call part of this modeling, borrowing patterns from proven performers. By seating Lincoln for courage or Edison for persistence, I rehearsed those traits on purpose. The brain imitates what contemplates. Attention is rehearsal. Rehearsal becomes behavior. That is the mindset of success. Choose mentors, then let their virtues shape your reflexes. Definiteness of purpose gives the rehearsal a script instead of a daydream. Psychologists use something similar, the empty chair technique, to surface wise responses. I used a nightly version aimed at decisions, creativity, and ethical judgment. Set the role, pose the question, listen without panic, then test by daylight results. This is not mysticism. It is disciplined engineering of attention and expectation. Handled this way, the counsel becomes a reliable tool, not a superstition to fear. I begin by choosing 5 to 7 seats, each assigned to a virtue I currently need. Courage, judgment, persistence, creativity, enterprise. Names follow virtues, not the reverse. For courage, I may invite Lincoln. For persistence, Edison. For enterprise, Carnegie. If I need marketing insight, I might seat a modern builder who served customers well. The power of the mind imitates what it contemplates, so I select exemplars with care. Next, I define the meeting's purpose in one sentence and draft tonight's agenda. Advance offer X, resolve hiring decision, or clarify study plan for 90 days. I set a consistent setting, a long oak table, and a fixed order of speaking. My subconscious mind thrives on structure, same room, same seats, same sequence. That rhythm teaches the mind to produce on time, not at random. Then I run the process, short, orderly, measurable. One question per seed, answers captured in a notebook before they evaporate. If a reply is abstract, I ask, what is tomorrow's first proof? I close with 3 actions for morning, 1 call, 1 page, 1 metric to update. This mindset of success turns nightly counsel into daylight results, repeated, audited, improved. Close your eyes and choose 3 seats: courage, clarity, and persistence. Name who embodies each virtue for you. Then say your definite purpose once. I call the meeting to order and ask courage, what single action removes my biggest fear tomorrow? I listen for a short answer I can test before noon. I write it down exactly as given, without editing. I turn to clarity and ask, what outcome must tomorrow prove if this month is to succeed? I receive a number, a person to contact, or a page count to produce. I capture it quickly, so my subconscious mind can refine it overnight. Then I ask persistence, what will I do when resistance appears at 2 p.m.? I record the fallback plan so the day cannot stall. I end by choosing 3 proofs for morning: 1 call, 1 creation, 1 measurement. I thank the counsel and adjourn with a fixed phrase that signals completion. I place the notebook where my eyes must meet it at dawn. This is the power of the mind trained by purpose. Questions become instructions. Repeat nightly for a week and notice how decisions begin to arrive on schedule. Imagination is a splendid servant and a dreadful master. When the counsel grew vivid, I reminded myself, this is a tool, not a universe. The power of the mind can stage convincing theater. My job is to run a factory. So I tied every insight to a measurable proof for morning. If it could not be tested by daylight, it did not steer my day. I also installed boundaries. Start time, end time, agenda, and a closing phrase. That phrase dismissed the counsel and returned command to my waking judgment. The subconscious mind respects rituals. Give it a clear on and off switch. I kept my feet on the ground by logging wins, not wonders. Results, not intensity, were the measure of truth. To protect psychological safety, I banned 2 habits: chasing drama and outsourcing blame. No figure could scold, flatter, or absolve me, only advise me. Definiteness of purpose remained the boss, the mindset of success the standard. If an answer encouraged delay or vanity, I struck it from the record. This way, infinite intelligence stayed an ally to action, never a detour. I watched entrepreneurs use the counsel to simplify chaos into 1 offer, 1 market, 1 promise. Within weeks, revenue followed because the power of the mind stopped splitting its force. Their subconscious mind began returning names to call, pages to write, objections to answer. Infinite intelligence seemed to arrange timing once purpose stopped wandering. The mindset of success turned long to-do lists into 3 daily proofs before noon. Artists reported a different dividend: consistency without drama. They seeded mentors of craft and courage, then asked for 1 scene, 1 chorus, 1 brushstroke. By tying insight to output, they shipped more work in a month than in the prior year. Definiteness of purpose replaced inspiration as the engine, and results multiplied. They learned that steady creation is simply attention rehearsed on schedule. Athletes adapted the ritual for decision and recovery. Before sleep, they asked for pacing, form cues, and the next workout's threshold. By morning, plans felt obvious and execution felt calm. Their subconscious mind had rehearsed success while the body rested. When used with integrity, the counsel makes excellence feel normal, then inevitable. The mind creates the counsel, but the counsel transforms the mind. Each night, the power of the mind rehearses better judgment until it becomes reflex. Your subconscious mind learns to return answers aligned with service, not vanity. This is how infinite intelligence appears practical. Ideas arrive ready for daylight testing. Used this way, the mindset of success upgrades from motivation to method. Remember, the counsel is not a stage. It is a workshop. Definiteness of purpose remains the foreman. and results are the payroll. Questions are your tools. 3 morning proofs are the quality check. You are not seeking magic, only organized thinking that compounds. When the ritual ends, the ledger must show action, not admiration. This technique does not change who you are. It reveals who you are willing to become. It builds courage by scheduling it, clarity by measuring it, and confidence by earning it. It turns mentors into mirrors and mirrors into marching orders. Soon the gap between intent and execution narrows to hours, not months. That is the true promise, consistent wisdom, delivered on time. Every night, I sat down with my invisible counselors and left with daylight orders. That ritual trained the power of the mind to serve a clear mission on schedule. My subconscious mind learned to return answers aligned with service, not ego. Definiteness of purpose kept the meeting honest. Results kept it humble. Do this consistently, and infinite intelligence seems to meet you halfway. Guard your clarity. 1 aim, 1 agenda, 1 short counsel, 3 morning proofs. Record what you will do before noon. Judge the ritual only by outcomes. If drift returns, tighten the questions and shorten the session. This mindset of success is simply leadership over attention, rehearsed nightly. Soon, decisions arrive on time, and confidence follows their footprints. Now for what unlocks the next level of this work. In our next episode, I will show you the most powerful force for turning thought into reality, applied faith. Faith, not as hope, but as disciplined energy that moves plans through resistance. When faith joins purpose, your results stop asking permission from fear. Join me there. Your counsel will speak louder when faith is in the chair.